Hello, my artsy friends. It's Ken, your thrifty apprentice, and welcome back to another thrifty review. Today, my friends, we are taking a look at the Mijello Mission Silver Class 12 color watercolor set. I did initially receive these paints a few months back. They are one of the sets that I did test throughout World Watercolor Month 2024, where I have done many paintings with them, and we will be taking a look at that a little later on. For right now, let's just kind of look at the packaging. Here we have Watercolors Silver Class Mission Colors Found in Nature Pans Watercolor Set. Just some images here on the front that tells the colors. We have a permanent red, a olive green, a viridian, vermilion, lemon yellow, yellow deep, a Van Dyke brown, cerulean blue, bright violet, white, ultramarine blue, and black. All that is listed on the front of the box, along with a depiction of what the palette inside looks like closed as well as open. And you can see the pans in vivid color there. That's actually pretty cool. I like the branding. Flipping it over on the back here, we are going to get Mission Silver Class Pans Watercolor Set, 12 colors. There is a digitized color swatch, which gives you stock numbers, names, pigment information, as well as light fast information. There's some additional text here, which is in a different language. Unfortunately, I won't be able to read that. There's a UPC code, and then there's Mijello website, which is www.mijello.com. There's a little indicator here that shows you how to remove the pans from the actual palette itself, because they can be removed, and we will get into that in just a moment. So flipping it over on the side, basically the same information on both sides of the paint. Now, if you do not know, Mijello Mission Silver Class paints are the student grade line to accompany the Mijello Mission Gold Professional watercolors. Anyone who's been following my channel for a moment happens to know that Mijello ranks at the top of my list for professional watercolors. Now, that is not going to be everybody's opinion, but it's mine, and I was really excited and happy to be giving the student grade set a try. That way I can compare it and see if it would be a good fit alternatively to be a little bit more budget friendly to a budding artist. So what we're going to do at this point is go ahead and allow a video time lapse with music in the background to play. That way I can share with you a demonstration of the paints in use before I really get into talking about them. And I will see you guys right here afterwards. And here we are, artsy friends. Hopefully you enjoyed that little time-lapse demo, which gave you a chance to see the paint. So let's just jump right in. Now the paints come in this plastic little travel kit. It is really, really cute. I love this little palette. It's gray and white. It is one of the double-sided palettes where the pans fit on both sides. Now, I'll be honest, I don't typically like palettes that are made this way, but the pans in this one are in really, really secure. As a matter of fact, the first time I removed them, it was really hard to get those pans out, which they're coming out pretty easily now. And as you can see, you just remove the pan and it can snap back into place with absolutely no problem. If you take them out, if this is a set you get, you take them out, make sure that when you snap them back down, you really get them in there securely. That way they don't fall out when you close your palette. Outside of that, the palette is very compact, holds 12 full pans of paint, which I think is really, really cool. So the paints are semi-moist. I do believe these paints have some type of humectant in it, like a honey or extreme amount of glycerin. They really, really, really put me in the mind of the Mission Gold, which is the professional line to this. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. I did name off the colors earlier. As you can see, the pans are very rich. They do not completely dry because they are semi-moist. They were filled all the way to the top. I had absolutely no issue with the amount of paints that I was getting. They were kind of in a weird order, so I did reorder them to suit the way I like to swatch and paint. Now, because they're semi-moist, they're super easy to re-wet. They do not require you to pre-wet them before using them, which is something to definitely take note of. Outside of that, that's straightforward physically how the paints look and came. I didn't find any consistency or quality issues as far as the appearance was. And again, I really do like the palette. It's a small footprint. And you could still fit quite a few pans of paint in there if you chose to do that. It would reduce your mixing room, but it is what it is. Also, I'll show you, I did leave the paint here on the palette dried down so you'd be able to see that there's absolutely no flaking, no grittiness, no indication of fillers or anything of that nature. I was really impressed with the paints, if the truth be told. Now, the first thing I did was to swatch them out, and of course, this was one of the sets that was used during World Watercolor Month. So there was quite a bit of painting done with them. I used my normal 3-layer swatching method. That way I could see how they would look from the most watery wash, building up to mass tone, and seeing the type of saturation I could build from laying them on top of each other. These were actually some pretty transparent paints, and the ultramarine has a beautiful granulation to it, which is really, really cool. Now, of the 12 pans of paints, you're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 single pigment colors. So 8 and 12, what is that, about 66, maybe 67% of the palette is single pigment, which I found really impressive, making this a great palette for mixing, for learning color theory. The brown in the set is a little unusual. I'm not used to there being a Van Dyke brown versus like maybe a burnt sienna, a burnt umber, or just a regular umber. However, I did find that the Van Dyke brown was really good for mixing. It served the same purpose as any other standard brown in a set. The colors are really bright and really vibrant, and there is not a huge shift from wet to dry. As you can see from the opacity test, you're getting some pretty transparent paints there. The other paints that were not single pigment was the olive green, the Van Dyke brown, and the bright violet. Now, although they're not single pigment, I did not find that they made mud easily when I was mixing with them. As a matter of fact, the bright violet and the olive green has a beautiful flow to it. Actually, all the paints, with maybe the exception of the Van Dyke brown, had a really kind of just gush across the paper when the paper was wet. I was really excited about that. Now, I did pull out colors to mix, and I got split temperatures here. I didn't write down exactly what colors there were, but here I do believe I used the lemon yellow, the vermilion, as well as the cerulean blue, and was able to get very beautiful, clean secondary colors that were recognizable without being muddy. And again, although those pigments were mixed, there still was not a huge shift or lost in saturation from it being wet to it drying down. In the next color wheel, here I did the yellow deep, the ultramarine blue, and the permanent red. Again, very clean, beautiful mixtures. The only thing was that because the yellow deep is so orange leaning, that when mixed with the ultramarine blue, they sort of neutralized each other out versus making what yellow and blue make green, because that is such a yellow leaning, such an orange leaning yellow in the set. So I also did ultramarine and the Van Dyke brown, which again gave me a very beautiful gray. This is more on the cooler side, I would say. And here I was going to mix ultramarine blue, but then I realized that there was not another brown in the set. So it just ended up being ultramarine. But overall, very clean mixes, absolutely no problem. You can pretty much mix any color you need to from this set. I will say, I really do wish that there was a burnt sienna or a burnt umber versus Van Dyke brown. And that's a personal thing, simply because I'm just used to using those colors in a set more. Although, again, I did not find that the Van Dyke brown hindered me in color mixing or in the painting process in any shape, form, or fashion. So let's take a look at the actual lift test and salt test. Now, here I put down some colors, dropped some salt. Paints reacted beautifully. Beautiful texture from the salt. Again, they flowed and just whooshed together so much. And here I used the, oh my goodness, what was that? The Viridian, which is PG7, which is just basically your phthalo green. I used the bright violet. which is a 2-color mixture, BV10 and PV3 colon 2. And that happens to be one of the colors in the set that is more fugitive than the others, simply because the pigments used to make up that particular color are not the most light fast. However, that doesn't mean you can't paint with it. And of course, there's always a suggestion of whatever you paint, especially if you're not putting it in a sketchbook, that you frame it under UV glass with the mat to help protect it. And that's just something that I always like to throw out there. Now here I want to do the lift test with you guys as I normally do. And we are just going to see how we can lift these colors out. I've put down a few colors here. Let's see. We have the yellow deep. We have the olive green. There, the bleed was cerulean blue, along with some vermilion. Here we had olive green, and then we have the bright violet. The bright violet flowed into the olive green and made that beautiful neutral. Look at that. So that's a mix I'm going to remember. I really, really love the way that looked. It's just a gorgeous green. Dark, 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 kind of blacky green. So we're just going to go through the middle here, just like this. We'll do it twice. It's going to mud up a little bit because we're picking up a lot of different colors. Then I'll take my studio rag and I will blot. Whenever you're lifting, you want to blot, not scrub, not twist, just blot. And as you can see there, we had some pretty decent lifting across that range of colors. I don't see anything that really did much staining. There may be a little bit there with that vermilion, but outside of it, all of those colors lifted pretty clean. So you could definitely lift back to the white of the paper if you needed to, with the majority of the colors. Overall, guys, I'm gonna be very honest. I was really impressed with this set. It is very, very, very close to the actual Mission Gold paints. Truth of the matter is, I really did not feel that much of a difference in the use. And I use Mission Gold all the time, so I would like to think that I'm pretty familiar with the feel of those paints across a different range of papers. And I experienced that same feel with this set. So let's take a look at some things that I did with the paints really quickly. Let's start off with the painting that we did today. So on this, what is this? I want to say this is, I know it's 140-pound cold press. I'm not sure if it's 100% cotton. What I do know is I really, really love the paper. It is absolutely phenomenal. I'll see if I can remember to link this in the video description in case anyone wants to try it out. It's medium grain, absolutely phenomenal paper. A lot of Chinese characters on the front. But of course we did a cactus terrarium, is that what it's called? Inside this pad today. It was great painting experience. I really enjoyed this. I love the way the paper takes the paints, and I love the vibrancy that you're able to achieve. It is a limited palette of 12 colors, but I did not find myself wanting for anything. I was able to mix every single shade. I love the different variations of greens that you're able to achieve. And that phthalo green in that set is really rich and vibrant. It is beautiful for using as a base color to mix a wide variety of greens from. So I was really impressed with that. I was really impressed with the way I was able to layer the colors without anything lifting away, without anything getting muddy. And again, the colors are transparent enough for you to be able to see the previous layers that you've already put down. That's going to help build saturation, color depth, and just add body to your composition. Really, really impressed with that. Okay, some other paintings that I did do with this set, which were completed during World Watercolor Month. I'm just going to show you a few of them. I did do a lot of paintings with the set, along with the rest of them. It was 31 paintings, so I had plenty of practice. So we'll start with looking at this little bird. This was done, I forget the day it was, but it was for, the prompt was feather, if I'm not mistaken. If you've seen the flip through, I did tell you all of that in there. But I really love the fact that I was able to layer these paints and maintain such clean, bright colors. Look at the yellow. Even with me wisping in that neutral black and those neutral browns in order to add shadow and kind of separation to the feathers, the yellow itself did not muddy up. It's so clean and rich. And you can see the difference between the lemon yellow and the yellow deep. I really enjoyed this painting. It took really well to the ceramic wrap technique that I put down in the back in order to create all this beautiful sort of stained glass texture in the background. Really enjoyed it. It took well to the credit card techniques, which allow me to scrape and abrade the paper, that paint to seep down into that abrasion, giving me more dark and saturated lines, just to add more definition. Really cool. Here, I used the paints to this, the prompt for this was trunk, if I'm not mistaken. So I just kind of painted this like forest scene of birch trees, and it's supposed to be emulating like snow falling there. Enjoyed this one. It was really easy, straightforward, and quick to complete. I was able to mix different variations of a gray using the ultramarine blue and the Van Dyke brown, and I was able to, you know, vary the shades to get all of the depth that I need. I actually did not use a black in that at all. I only used those two colors, which was Van Dyke brown and ultramarine blue, and I feel like overall it was pretty successful, especially for the simple composition I was trying to pull off. Lastly, I will show you this one. This was also completed with the Mission Silver class paints. This is probably one of my favorite paintings I completed during World Watercolor Month. Now, I always give credit where credit is due. This is actually a variation of a class taught by Lindsay the Frugal Crafter in one of her courses that I purchased for World Watercolor Month. Since I knew I had 31 days of painting to do, there were several tutorials, both video and written, that I put aside that I wanted to kind of tackle that would kind of tie into whatever the theme of that day was. This particular day was buried, so I wanted to kind of tackle trying to paint this clear glass buried in the sand along the shoreline. If I had to change anything about this painting, I would definitely have been a little bit more done better with this particular shell. But overall, I was really pleased with the way it came out. Again, here I created this beautiful tan sand texture using salt in a really wet wash. I was able to get really nice variations of color here in the sand, just using that Van Dyke brown and mixing it with ultramarine and maybe red in different areas. So really cool, really cool. And I was able to layer here. This is a little bit of mixed media. There's a little white pencil on here. There's a little bit of bleed proof white gouache. So overall, I feel like it was a pretty successful painting. I feel like everything that I painted with these were pretty successful. And if not, it was because of me, not because of the paints. With that said, guys, I definitely recommend this paint set. If I had to give this a star rating on a scale of 1 to 5, these paints are probably the first student grade paint that is going to receive a 4.5 out of 5 stars. This is an amazing set of paints, and it's so close to the actual professional that I find it super hard to tell the difference. So without doubt, I would recommend these paints. Now let's talk about the price. This set is currently $24.93 on Amazon for the 12 full pan little set here. And I do believe that the paints are worth the $24.93 because they are so close to the professional line, in my opinion. However, I will say the professional Mission Gold class set of 12 full pans is only $38.96. So you will have to make the decision about whether you want to pay the $24.93 for the student grade set versus adding what, a few extra dollars, $10, $11, $12 more dollars in order to go ahead and just kick it up to the actual professional grade. However, whether you get the student grade set at the $24.93 or whether you get the professional grade 12 pan set at $38.96, I do not believe you will be going wrong either way. Again, without a doubt, I do recommend the paints and I do believe that they are worth it. I just think whomever is buying them need to weigh their options versus $25 for those or $39 for the professional set. So there you have it, guys. Hopefully this wasn't too long for you and you did find some of the information helpful. If you enjoyed anything about this video, from the information, the demo, or just simply hanging out, do not forget to give the video a thumbs up by sprinkling a little love. You can share the video because sharing is caring, and maybe someone else out there would love to hear this review on the Mijello Mission Silver class paints. Jump in the comment section, guys. Let me know what you think. Have you used these paints? Have you used the professional? What do you think about the things I've said about these in comparison to the professional? And do you think these are something that you would like to give a try if you haven't used them? I would really, really love to know. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to also post those in the comment section, and I will get to answering them as soon as I possibly can, guys. If you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed, or you're returning and you haven't, don't forget to hit that subscription button and that notification bell so you will be notified when we upload new videos and when we go live here on the channel. I would love for you guys to join me for the regularly scheduled Monday lives, which take place every Monday morning at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can check the video description for all of the relevant links. It's going to give you links for paints, pencils, pastels, and markers, the Thrifty Apprentice sponsored Facebook group, where we welcome artists of all levels who use all mediums, because this is a mixed media channel and that is a mixed media group. You can find links for the most recommended product list, which will be good products that won't break your pocket. You can also find a link for the artist wish list in case you decide to support the channel. Other links you will find will be Patreon, Etsy, Defiant Art website, as well as a direct link to purchase the Defiant Art first branded product, the Bamboo Voyager palette, if you so choose. Thank you guys so much for joining me here. And remember, as I tell you at the end of every single video, just keep creating.